scenes of the resurrection are all around us, as we've been exploring in all of these videos over the last few days. One of those scenes that I want to really look at today is of the presence of peace, even in the midst of chaos. That doesn't necessarily mean that we, at all times, recognize the presence of peace, but it's there. What does that mean? Let's talk about that for just a second. I want us to reflect on the Gospel of John, starting in the 20th chapter, starting at verse 19. And in case you just don't have a Bible nice and handy, I am going to be reading from the Common English Bible. It was still the first day of the week. That evening, while the disciples were behind closed doors because they were afraid of the Jewish authorities, Jesus came and stood among them. Jesus said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. When the disciples saw the Lord, they were filled with joy. Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father sent me, so I am sending you." Then he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, they are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven." There's so much in this little piece of text that's familiar to us, right? There's the chaos. There is the locked doors. There is the uncertain future. There's the palpable sense of fear that just seems to be dripping over the letters in that passage. And yet one thing that I think is always true, I know is always true, is that Christ shows up in even these spaces, offering that refrain that he says twice, "Peace be with you, peace be with you." It's not a peace that's like polite. It's not shallow, surface level. It's depth. It's corporate. It's shared in community. It's something that seems so juxtaposed and different and counter to, and yet alongside and interplayed with those what's happening outside those locked doors that the disciples are hiding inside of. Peace be with you. What does that peace look like for us today? Wherever we are, whether we're with other people or whether we're not, whether the places where we're self-isolating are loud or quiet, whether we're able to be self-isolating or not, what does that peace look like for us? The reality is that Christ is ever present. Christ is with us wherever we are, and there's no place that we can go to where that presence is not there. And if Christ is the Christ who offers us peace, then there's a little bit for each of us, an invitation to recognize the peace that is in that ever-present Christ. But also an important piece of this whole message that Jesus comes to say is not just have peace, but it's offer that peace to other people. What does that look like, right? For Jesus, it was very much so a clear word of warning to not stand in the way of forgiveness for other people, to offer them forgiveness. If they don't love themselves, make sure that you know that you love them. If they don't see that they have worth, make sure they know that they have worth. Start moving the gears of forgiveness and love and givenness and grace in the world. And that's an incredible commission. In this passage, I am just amazed. And I think there's just material here for me just to think on the rest of the day, maybe in the rest of the week, or a lifetime even, of what does it look like to have a peace through Christ that cuts through all the chaos and the complexity of everyday life? And what does it mean that that Christ offers us an invitation to extend that peace and grace and love to everyone else we meet? In the comments below, I invite you to write for yourself, where have you found peace this last week? And if you have an example of it, or an idea of it, or a challenge for the church, how can we extend that peace to other people through even the smallest of acts? Peace be with you. I hope that you are well, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Take care.